Well, for better or worse, the Minions are back, and they've brought Gru with them this time for their outing. Let's talk about Minions, the Rise of Gru. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new film Minions, The Rise of Gru. This is in theaters right now. It is a smashing success. The first weekend numbers are not in yet, but they're talking about somewhere in the $100 million range for the 4-day weekend. So very, very impressive out there. But yes, this is a theatrical exclusive and doing quite well, I would say. Before we get into this review and the plot schematics of the movie, I do want to welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thanks for finding my video and my channel as well. Love to see that. And please consider subscribing down below here. Would love to have you as one of my subs as well. So let's get into this movie. I will be upfront about it. I do not really care for the Minions. I thought they were very cute in the first Despicable Me movie and the second Despicable Me movie, and then they got their own movie, which was okay, but, you know, we weren't quite saturated the way we are now with the Minions culture. I think it was kind of that movie on their own that really got people like crazy obsessed with the Minions. So Despicable Me 3 came out, which I liked. I think it was maybe better than 2. Nothing has been as good as 1 so far, in my opinion. But the Minions there, you know, were sort of on the side, which is, I think, where they belong. So now we've got this new movie, Minions, The Rise of Gru. In the first Minions movie, they don't see Gru until the very, very end. And I think he's a baby, if I remember correctly, because this takes place in 1976, which is 8 years after the first Minions movie. And Gru is like, I think he says 11 3/4. So, you know, he must have just been a baby at the end of that first movie. But so here we see young Gru, you know, tween Gru, and his wheelings and dealings with the Minions. And at this point, they are all, like, calling him boss already. They have a lab in the house and all of that kind of stuff. So, more Gru is certainly good for me. I just think we've been inundated with the Minions, right? Like I said, I found them cute in the beginning, but they're everywhere. They're in IHOP commercials, and they're on every, you know, sticker you see, and you know, all of the product placement and everything. It's just like, oh my God, like, give me a second. And it reminds me actually of the Shrek craze, you know, back in the day. Now, I love the Shrek movies, so I never really felt like, oh, this is overkill. But remember, they had, you know, 100 different kinds of Shrek, you know, food products and all of that kind of stuff. So it's like, oh my God, you know, but this is where we are with the Minions. Like, I have friends that like have like Minions painted on their cars. It's just like, oh my God, when does it end with these creatures? And I sort of realized, I think, why sort of middle-aged women specifically are drawn to the Minions. It's because they're basically like 2 or 3 year olds. You know, they say very few words. They sort of just knock around a lot, you know, and they get into a lot of trouble. And so I think that's sort of the craze for that. And for kids, you know, they're cute and funny, and they like to do imitations. They're easy to do imitations of. So look, I get all that. But I have the feeling that if I were to rewatch the first Minions movie now, I think I gave it like a C or something, or maybe a C plus if I was feeling generous. But if I had to regrade it now, I think it would be worse. Because, I mean, that movie was just all Minions. Here, at least, we mix it up a little bit. So the basic plot is, like I said, this takes place in 1976, 8 years after the events of the first Minions film. And basically, Gru receives an audition interview for the Vicious Six, which is this big criminal organization founded by Wild Knuckles, who is voiced here by Alan Arkin. And he is basically, you know, shunted from the group, so he is to be replaced. And we see a lot of familiar faces, maybe not voices. I definitely didn't recognize some of the voices, but Lucy Lawless is in here. Jean-Claude Van Damme is in here. Michelle Yeoh is one of them, Taraji P. Henson. So there's definitely some famous people voicing these characters. And I should note, Steve Carell, of course, returns as Gru, but we've also got Russell Brand here returning from the first movie. I forget how many movies he was in, if it was just that first one or not, but But he is back. Will Arnett returns. He has been in the series before, but many new voices as well. So essentially, he goes to this audition, and they're like, "Dude, you're a kid. Get out of here." So he ends up stealing this big stone that has so much power for them, and he manages to steal it during the audition. So now they're on the loose, and I don't want to say anything else, I guess, from there because we get into spoiler territory. But that's the basic premise, and it goes from there. But look, anytime that Gru is not on screen or the Vicious Six are not on screen, it is just eye-rolling nonsense as far as I'm concerned. Little kids are going to love it. The fans of the Minions, oh my God, this is the funniest thing we've seen all year. For me, I don't think I laughed once the whole movie. I don't even know if I cracked a smile the whole movie. I will say the plot in terms of the Vicious Six stuff and the Gru stuff is okay. It's a little nonsensical, especially I think the further we go in the movie. But I do appreciate that they at least didn't make this purely Minions. We've got Gru here. We've got some of the old standards, and then the Vicious Six are I don't know. I guess interesting enough. They're a bit one note, but I would say that the two people doing the most in this movie, in terms of the voice work, are Michelle Yeoh and Alan Arkin. I think they are doing fantastic here. Everybody else, even Steve Carell, I thought was just, I don't know, kind of phoning it in a little bit. So I can't get behind that. Pierre Coffin, by the way, is the voice of all of the Minions. I think he created them, or something, but he returns here, of course, as the voices of all of them. But the other thing that gets me about this movie is the constant 70s bits, references, music cues. We get it. It's like they're really, really throwing it in our faces. And I don't know if it's, oh, well, Stranger Things has such great 80s nostalgia, let's try that with the 70s. But Stranger Things, I think, at least just it kind of incorporates it in. I only watched the first season of that, but I did think they went a little bit hard on the references. But this is just like every second or two, there's like a different, oh, there's a Pet Rock, and oh, there's the Peter Frampton album, and oh, there's a Carpenter song on the soundtrack. And it's like, it just keeps snowballing. And it's weird because at this point, I feel like this is like grandparents' age, I think. Grandparents were probably in their teens or something in the 70s that are going to be taking their little ones to this. So we've sort of bypassed the jokes for, okay, the kids and the parents alike. Now it's like kids and the grandparents. Carpenter's jokes went over my head when The Simpsons did them in the early 90s. So I can't imagine parents really getting a ton of these references. Like the Pet Rock. Unless you really know a lot about the decade, I think a lot of these things are going to fly over parents' heads. And kids, they're certainly not going to get them. They're just going to think the Minions are cute and funny. So, look, for me, this was a complete dud. If there's a animated comedy film in which we're supposed to be laughing, the whole time, I didn't get one laugh from this movie. And look, like I said, take this review with a grain of salt, because if you love the Minions, this is going to be for you. But I don't. I find them very, very grating. I give Minions: The Rise of Gru a D+. I think it is very, very sad that an opening weekend may make more than Lightyear makes in its whole run. Lightyear was light years better than this movie. So go see that one instead. But if you like Minions, I guess you'll probably like this. So take my review with a grain of salt. But thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.